a little bit, but it'll be okay. If I scoot closer, your head's not in the way. Is that all right?
Let's just make it fun.
Okay, so we're going to talk about dividing decimals. We talked about multiplying decimals. What was the difference between multiplying decimals and multiplying just regular old whole numbers?
Is it you don't count the decimals? No.
For which one? You don't count the decimals for the regular, okay? So regular multiplication with whole numbers, you don't have any decimals to worry about. You just multiply. Decimals, you have to count how many decimal places you have in your problem, and that's how many you have to have in your answer, okay? Dividing decimals is a little bit different, not a whole lot different, okay, but just a little bit. So we're going to start here. So I want you to look at that bottom part first, okay? Ignore the top part for a second. So it says, to begin with, if you are dividing by a decimal, okay? So the number on the outside of your house is a decimal. You have to move that decimal first, okay? So when we multiplied, we ignored the decimal at first. With division, you have to deal with that decimal before you can do anything else, okay? So it's kind of opposite of multiplication. Okay, so let's say I have that, okay, 9.3 divided by 0.3. Okay, so the first thing I have to do is fix those decimals because I'm not going to divide by a decimal. I want to divide by a whole number.
Yes.
Okay, so anytime, so on your paper, this is the first thing I want you to write. If you are dividing by a decimal, you move the decimal to the right. Always to the right.
So just write that.
Write that.
Right? Just write right.
Okay, write this and write this, and then we're going to move it here in just a second. Okay?
You write the problem.
Yes. Okay, so anytime you have to move a decimal, when you are dividing, you move it to the right.
So write that then to the right.
Write everything I just wrote.
So I just wrote right and I wrote what you said.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, in division, if we're dividing by a decimal, we move our decimal to the right. Okay, so let's do that. So I have 0.3. How many decimal places do I need to move it so I can have a whole number? One spot. So I move it one place over. Well, if I move this one, I have to move this one. So I'm going to move this one too. Okay? So now I'm going to rewrite it. So now I've moved both of my decimals one place. Do I have to write this 0?
No.
Why not?
It
doesn't matter. Okay, so I have my house. I moved this one spot, so now I have a 3. Underneath my house, I now have 93.
Now we divide right.
And then you just divide like normal.
Okay.
Okay? So you just have to remember when you're dividing, deal with your decimal first. Okay? The answer is 31 if you want to do the math. Okay?
It's not that hard.
All right?
It's not that hard.
Okay?
We did like
14.4 divided by 1.2.
so.
Okay, so first thing I do, outside my house, do I have a whole number or a decimal? I have a decimal, so I have to move my decimal. So I'm going to move it one place.
To the right.
To the right. Inside and outside of my house. Okay? So I'm going to rewrite it now. So now I have 12 outside of my house and 144 inside my house. You should be able to do this without actually doing the math.
Yeah, it's obvious.
The answer is
12.
12.
You said 7. Oh my God! 7.
The answer is 12. Okay. So just remember, always, always, always look at the number outside of your house first. If it's a whole number, I do nothing. If it's a decimal, I move it. Which way? Right. Always, always, always to the right. Don't confuse everybody now. Okay? All right. So you move it to the right. Okay? We feel good so far?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do, you're going to do number 1. Number 1, it says 34 5/10 divided by 3. 34 5/10 divided by 3. Remember, you look outside your house first to see if you have a decimal. Number 1.
Done.
Put your hand down.
I'm not going to answer.
34.5
She didn't say answer. She said what?
divided by 3. So work it out. See what you get. Remember, you still have a decimal underneath your house. So once you're done, you move it up. Or you can count how many decimal places you have under your house. And that's what you'll have on top of your house. All right, so let's look at this problem. 34 5/10 divided by 3. So I look outside of my house first. Do I have a decimal?
No.
No, I do not. 3 is a whole number. So do I have to do anything to my decimal right now?
No.
No. So I can go ahead and do my division. So let's start with 3 divided by 3 equals 1. So I put my 1, subtract my 3, get a 0, bring down my 4. So now I have 4 divided by 3. 1 again. Subtract 3 because 3 times 1 is 3. So now I get 1. Bring down my 5. Now I have 15. 15 divided by 3. 5 minus 15
Is 0.
is 0. Now I have to deal with my decimal. I bring it up. Or count how many decimal places I have under my house. I have 1, so I have to have 1 in my answer. So I get 11 5/10 or 11 1/2. Okay, 11 1/2. How are we feeling so far?
Good.
Okay, so it's not hard. You just have to remember some key steps.
No, dividing is better. It's the same thing. Dividing
Okay,
is much
let's do another one.
Yes, it is.
Number 1 on this one. So you have 11 1600ths divided by 9/10. Write that on your paper. Work it out. Now remember this one, Outside of our house is a decimal this time. So I have something I have to do before I can divide.
Would you make it on the other side of the other number, or like just one side?
You move it once on the outside, you move it once on the inside.
Oh.
However many times you move it on the outside, that's how many times you move it on the inside. So if I move it one time outside, I move it one time inside.
But whenever you move it one time on the inside, you add the decimal to the spot.
You don't have to because it's a whole number. But you'll have to on the inside because you still have a number behind it. $11 and 1600ths divided by 9 tenths. Okay, so let's talk about this problem. I have a decimal outside of my house. That means I have to move it which way?
Right.
I have to move it to the right. So one spot to the right. That also means I have to move the inside one spot to the right. So if I rewrite that, I get 9 on the outside and 111.6.
Do you have to rewrite it?
I usually do because it's easier for me to keep it straight. You don't necessarily have to, but it would be good to do that. That way you know where you're supposed to be. All right, so now what do I do?
Divide.
I do just the regular division. Okay, so 1 divided by 9, can I do that?
1.
0.
I can't. 1 divided by 9?
I
can't do that because 1 is less than 9. So I have to use 11. So 11 divided by 9. 1.
It's not 2.
Oh.
So minus 9.
2.
So 11 minus 9
2.
is 2. Bring down my 1.
2.
21 divided by 9. 2.
18.
Minus 18 gives me what?
3.
Bring down my 6.
4.
36 divided by 9.
4.
4. Minus 36. 0. Okay, so now I have 124, but now I have to put my decimal in there. So if I bring it up, I get
12.4.
12.4. Remember, bring it straight up, or however many decimal places you have under your house, that's what you have to have on the roof. Okay? 12.4.
Huh?
All right, one more example. This one got a few more numbers in it.
One more.
So, 204 thousandths divided by 17 hundredths.
Can you move it 2 times on the outside?
Yes.
You can move it to
You have to move it however many times it takes to make it a whole number. So if that's 5 times, you move it 5 times. If it's 2 times, move it 2 times. If there's no times, move it no times. Okay, however many times it takes. All right, let's look at this one. Outside my house is a decimal, so that means I have to move my decimal how many places this time?
2.
2. So I go 1, 2.
1,
1, 2. That means I have to move the inside 2 places too. So 1, 2. So now I'm going to rewrite it. Now, a couple people ask, do I have to keep that 0 on the outside? No.
It's a 0.
Okay, it's just a 0. It doesn't mean anything. So now, outside of my house, I have 17. Inside of my house, I have 20.4. Okay, I got rid of both of those zeros on the front end because I don't need them.
Because it's nothing.
Because it's 0, it's nothing. All right, so now I divide. Can I divide 2 by 17? Nope. So I need to look at 20. So 20 divided by 17, 1. So minus 17, I would have what left over? 3. Bring down my 4. 2. So minus 34, 0.
Do you have to do that last part? Minus 34.
Yeah.
Will you count it off if we don't do it?
Yeah. So 1.2, 1 and 2/10.
What if you don't cross out the 0?
If you don't put the decimal, it's completely wrong.
Dayton, she already said that once.
No decimal is completely wrong. It wasn't anybody in this class, it was somebody in the other class. On that last quiz we took, that addition and subtraction of decimals, they didn't put a decimal on anything.
Oh yeah, I already told
You told me.
you. Failed.
So guess what?
They got it.
They got it up.
Like,
It's called dividing decimals. So you're gonna have a decimal somewhere. No, I didn't.
Who was it?
I'm not telling.
were they shocked? Why would it be Colin? that
Okay.
do that?
Was it a girl or a boy?
It was a boy.
Colin
Of course it
would
was.
not do that,
Of
Mallory.
course
Colin
it
would
was.
not do that.
Okay, so decimals have to be there. Okay? Alright. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Everybody feels okay about it at this moment. Okay.